Hey, what's happening, everybody? Colin Crandall here from MMA Power Hour in a messy room. I'm going to be moving some stuff to storage, so please excuse this. I guess in the future I got to get like a green screen or whatever, like a bunch of people have, but I'm not a high-tech guy and haven't had a chance to do that. So anyway, ignore this crappy stuff that I'm moving into a storage. Anyway, I am here to say hello. What's happening? So glad to be here on my YouTube channel. I'm going to start rocking this with a shit ton of content coming up over the next several months. For those of you who know me, hey, so glad to see you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Colin Crandall. I've been doing most of my stuff on Facebook over the years. We have spent 5 years as the host of the MMA Power Hour and the co-producer. My business partner, Dr. Adam Rorta, is the co-host and the senior producer, the guy that does the tech stuff. We have a media credential with all four of the big fighting organizations: UFC, PFL, One Championship, and Bellator. And we have gone to a good amount of UFC events and covered them from press row and the post-fight press conference. There's some very good reporters there that have good questions. I've made my mark as one of them, having a lot of the best questions and some of the most questions that elicit great responses from fighters after their victories in the UFC, and also we've covered several Bellators as well. One Championship, as you may know, has not had any events in the United States, and then PFL is mostly on the East Coast, and we're mostly on the West Coast here. But anyway, I've been following the UFC since the first event. I had a copy of the press kit for UFC 1 in my hands. A friend of mine had one of the actual press kits, and I was aware of MMA, or as they say in Portuguese, in Brazil, Vale Tudo, fighting about 2 years before the first UFC. So I guess what that can say is I'm knowledgeable, and I've been there also. I guess I'm old as hell, but I'm still, my mind's still sharp, and still keep myself in shape. Did jujitsu up until the early part of the pandemic, and hopefully going to get back into it sometime soon, and see if I can go and get my brown belt and my purple belt as of right now. But man, my body's starting to get worn out, just all the the years off and on doing it and working out. But anyway, so we're going to try to see if we can blow up this channel. I really appreciate your support, and let's jump into my handicapping here of tomorrow's UFC Fight Night 203. By the way, MMA Power Hour is on every Tuesday. You see some of our content up on YouTube, just kind of random. We've never really promoted it, so you'll see this or that video under MMA Power Hour with 20 views or 40 views or 200 views. Facebook, we've had as many as 30,000 views on a video, and we have several over the years that ended up getting 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 views, and a lot of them that got 4, 5, 10,000 within a few days or a week of broadcast. So I'm trying to start embracing YouTube. Should have been doing it all along, but we just had some advice to go a different direction, and now we realize that YouTube is definitely here to stay. And but please do check us out. We have interviews. I'm not going to say every time we have the most in-demand person every time, because unless you're ESPN or Joe Rogan, you can't have like Habib on one week and Conor McGregor the next week, and all the champions the week after, and all the number one contenders the week after. So, I'm not going to lie and say we always have that, but we have had many of the top 5 contenders and champs, several of the champions on our show. We've had at least half of the people that are in the UFC Hall of Fame, and we have a lot of people that have made appearances on our show starting when they were unranked and are now in the top 10 and even some in the top 5. So we really do rock the good interviews, get to know the stars. I let them talk. I don't rip on them. I don't say stupid shit to them, and just try to have a really good, fun chat where you guys and girls can get to know your favorite fighting celebrities and top fighters, and where you can get to see ones you already like, and you get to learn about new ones that you didn't know and maybe become a big fan of, because you get to see they're really cool folks, and so many of the fighters are. Anyway, let's do a little breakdown here. As I said, our show goes 2 hours. Sometimes we spend as much as 40 minutes going over a breakdown of the upcoming card, and a lot of times I'm doing it with our guest fighters Sometimes I'll go live alone for 20, 30 minutes. Um, and I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm going to go maybe another 10 more minutes. And so let's look at this fight here. For those of you who don't know me, let me give you a kind of a taste of what I do just on the shorter side. So I'm not going to pick every fight because it doesn't make sense. I used to, when I was a little kid, bet on a horse. Now, when I was a little kid, but when I was really young, I would go bet on horse races. And if there was 9 races, I'd bet on 9 races. If there was 12 races, I'd bet on 12 races. And I was kind of really trying to learn what I was doing. I was reading the racing form. I was talking. I was learning the lingo. And then a couple of the older guys said, "Man, you're betting on every race. That's not what you want to do." And I was like, "It isn't." And they went, "No professional gambler does that. You just can't do that. Not every race has an opportunity where it looks like you can have an advantage or something in your favor." And so I learned that a long time ago with races, and now same thing with fights. So let's start at the bottom of the card coming up. I don't have any pick in the Tefan Nchukwi versus Azamat Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov almost a 2-1 favorite. Um, yeah, I advise no bet on that. I just, there's not enough information on either guy. I think that it's a really close fight, could go either way. So if you want to see, there may be value on Nchukwi, but Mirzakhanov looks really tough. But I believe he's making his debut. So I don't really ever touch someone making their UFC debut because of the fact you just don't know. Next fight is Chris Moutinho against Guido Canetti. Both tough guys. Moutinho, they brought it on short notice against Sean O'Malley several months back, and he hung in there, man, like a warrior, and he was getting the brakes beaten off him, but he was also throwing back, and he nearly made it to the bell. The referee finally couldn't stand it anymore, but. Tough beating in your first UFC fight, but this is definitely an easier spot here. He's got a 42-year-old Guido Canetti. Doesn't mean you can't fight at 42 because I personally am over 42. But then again, I couldn't fight at the highest levels, and I never lie and try to perpetrate that I can. I'm not a professional MMA fighter. I've trained in martial arts a lot of my life, and that's the extent of it. Small tournaments in the schools that I trained once in a blue moon out against another school, but that's exactly what my level of expertise is. So all respect to everyone that I talk about here, even if I pick someone to beat you when you're watching. I have not a single level, not a single feeling of not respecting you, and not a single fantasy that I could last 20 seconds with a high level MMA fighter, especially at this age, but possibly when I was younger. Although I was a good athlete. But anyway, so I'm going to say that at 42, Guido Canetti is just going to be a little bit too old, and Chris Moutinho wins this fight. There's value on this because I think Chris Moutinho should be about a 2.5 to 3-1 favorite, and he's barely over a 1.5 to 1 favorite. So I like Chris Moutinho over Guido Canetti. The next fight, Cody Brundage and Dalcha Lungiambula. A lot of times you'll see me flesh out the fighters a lot more and talk about their age and their height and their gym and this and that, whatever. I'm not going to do that here, but a lot of times you will see me do that. And, so for right now, I got Cody Brundage against Dalcha Lungiambula, and Cody is a slight dog. I think his wrestling is going to come in. It's going to come in handy, and it's going to be definitely a factor in this fight. That's what I was looking for. So Cody Brundage to beat Dalcha Lungiambula, Miranda Maverick and Sabina Mazo. I have got Miranda Maverick also confident that she will beat Sabina Mazo. She is about a 3-1 favorite. There's not a lot of money to be made there, but you could put her in a parlay. Damon Jackson and Kamuela Kirk, no pick on that. It's just not enough information. Fight's really, it's a tough one. It could go either way. I lean toward Damon Jackson. If you want to hear how I lean, he's just a slight favorite, but that's not one of my official picks. And Trevin Jones and Javid Basharat, same thing on that one. In fact, I don't even know who to lean on that one. No pick at all. JJ Aldrich and Jillian Robertson, interesting fight. Essentially, you have the striker against the grappler, although they both have some chops in their lesser favored skill set. But Jillian Robertson, the grappler, I do think she will eventually get it to the ground, and she will probably be able to dominate or stop JJ Aldrich. If she doesn't, she could get touched up and pieced up on the feet. And so she's a very slight favorite. I think it's a good bet, though. Jillian Robertson, the grapplers, a lot of times come through on in a fight like this. Although I wouldn't go heavy because it's going to be a good fight. Matthew Semmelsberger, about a 2-1 favorite over AJ Fletcher. I have Matthew Semmelsberger with confidence in that fight. He's a stud. He's a killer. Interviewed him. So many of these fighters I've interviewed on our show, the MMA Power Hour, over the years, and many of them multiple times. Of the fighters we just discussed, I've interviewed Jillian Robertson and Matthew Semmelsberger. And so anyway, got Matthew Semmelsberger there. Next up, we have Bruno Silva and Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is the guy that beat Israel Adesanya in kickboxing. So there's a lot of excitement that he may come back and earn his way to a title shot. I don't think so. He looked good in his first fight, but I'm going for the underdog here. Some value for sure in Bruno Silva. Going to be a tough fight, though. It should be a really exciting one, but I got the dog there, Bruno Silva. Drew Dober and Terrence McKinney, no pick on that one. Both guys are so great. Both guys are just really, really tough. Drew Dober, way more experienced, but he's also 6 years older at 33. But has fought so many good guys and beat some, lost to many, but level of competition much higher. For Drew Dober, Terrence McKinney, though, is just a killer. He's been showing up, dispatching people in the first round ever since he got to the UFC, and dispatched a lot of people in the first round or second round in all of his other fights. So scary, tough guy. No pick on that one, though. Great fight for sure. We have Carl Roberson, Baby K, against Khalil Roundtree Jr., and that one's a slight favorite for Robertson. I lean Roundtree. I can't pick, though. That's going to be a really close fight. So no pick on that one. Alex Caceres, the man they called Bruce Leroy, on a 5-fight win streak against Sadiq Youssef, who was on a 6-fight win streak until he lost his last fight against the super talented Arnold Allen. The odds I think are a little bit heavy. I think there's a little bit of an overlay on Sadiq Youssef, which means he shouldn't be this big a favorite. I think Bruce Leroy is live. I probably wouldn't go so far as to bet him or bet maybe like a quarter of your normal bet, as many gamblers call it a unit, maybe a quarter of a unit on the underdog Alex Caceres, because I think he does have a chance. But this will be a big fight, and it'll tell a lot about both guys and their future and what's left. Song Yadong against Marlon Moraes. Some people have me pegged as a Song Yadong hater. What do they say? You never hate that song. The song is just it's a type of music you don't like or you don't prefer, but never hate a song, right? So I would not want to. It's silly what I just said. It's stupid. So yeah, I don't hate Song Yadong. I think that even when he loses, he wins, unfortunately, and it's because the judges really like him. He has 3 fights where 2 were wins and 1 was a draw, and I thought he lost all 3 of them. Had that been the case, he'd only be a 5-4 fighter in the UFC instead of a 7-1 and 1 no contest or 1 draw fighter. I think Marlon Moraes is on a losing streak. He's a killer. His chin has been checked a lot lately. It's very scary to advise a bet on someone in that situation, but I'm going to make Marlon Moraes my bet. I wouldn't bet heavy, but I think there's very good value. He's definitely the more experienced fighter on a high level. His back's against the wall. I think he's going to come out really strong here, and I think there's really good value getting over 2-1 on the Brazilian former title contender, Marlon Moraes. And then finally, in the main event, Magomed Ankalaev, the largest of the well-known fighters from Dagestan. So many of them are between 145 and 185 pounds, and even more between 145 and 170. So this guy's 205. He's a killer. 6-1 favorite or 5-1 because you've got a plus 400, 420 on the dog Santos and minus 600 and up on Ankalaev. There's just no money laying that type of chalk, as they say. Like I remember when I was a kid, Mike Tyson, people say, "Oh, just bet $2,000 to win 100," and it's like a free $100 on Mike. But that's not very sound betting, because if you always bet like that, all you need is to have one of them go wrong, and you've lost all your winnings from all the other bets. I know this isn't like minus 2,000, but it's just minus six something. I think put a couple bucks on Thiago Santos, but that's not going to be an official pick of mine because probably Ankalaev beats him. And these odds, because of what they've done lately and the age and who they are, the skill set, are pretty correct. Ankalaev is just a killer, and he could be the champion a year from now in that weight class, or possibly even sooner. Whereas it does seem like Thiago Santos Maheta is his days are better days are behind him. Anyway, that's about it. Look out for more great content here on YouTube. Tell a friend, and love to have you guys jump in if you can. Ask any questions, and feel free to to interact and give me your suggestions, man. I'm really open. I'm not any kind of a big ego guy, and I definitely really appreciate talking to other people that really love MMA. MMA is my passion. So on YouTube, on the Hannibal TV, you'll see our show for the last. We've been together with him, and then we've been with some other sources throughout the last couple of years. But we're happy to be back on Hannibal TV. And you look on his Facebook, we're getting 2,000 to 4,000 views within a few days of our show every Tuesday night. And then on his YouTube, not as many, somewhere between 200 and 400 or 500 views. But overall combined, it's a pretty good chunk of people that are watching us. And I hope if you're new, welcome, hit me up. And, we'll bring you some great information and entertainment on our show, and celebrity guests and interviews, and then even more detailed breakdowns on UFC betting. MMA betting is one of the hardest sports in the world to bet on. But, if you have someone that really knows what they're talking about, it can help equal the odds for you, at least to an extent. And I am that guy. So that's about it. Look forward to catching up with you guys down the line here, and a lot of great videos will be coming on this channel in 2022. So you guys all hang in there, and we'll talk soon. Peace.